morning, world. Welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast with your host, Dragon.
Great morning, world. Just have to go on and handle my social media strangeness because of that interesting Facebook that's ever changing. There we go. So great morning, world. Your boy Dragon at you right now. This is a great one. Very excited about this day. For me, it's always interesting when I open up and I listen to my intro, and I just reminds me of this whole character persona of the dragon. And I always get a chuckle out of it, but at the same time, I just love it so much. So great morning, everyone. Got a great one for you, all you chickens and dragons. And just as a reminder, we're putting this out to so many different channels. Right now, we're streaming live on Facebook. So if you're watching this live on Facebook, you can just say hello. Let me know that you're here. I see a bunch of people joining. And then there's a bunch of people that are watching it on different channels on Facebook that I won't be able to see their responses. I believe it's on my main Facebook page, my main personal Facebook page, that I can see the actual comments if you want to make them. But I'm also streaming on YouTube right now, Rise Up with Dragon. And I've got my Clubhouse room open for the after party, but it's open now. And you can find me on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is really cool. And I got a bunch of new invites because I've been using it quite often. And you can find me at Makes Sense. And also my DM is open right now if anybody has any questions at Instagram at that guy JC Dornick. So now that I've got all that done, great morning. Great morning, everybody. And just excited to kind of take a little bit of a journey with you and create a mindset and focus to help you win the day. Unleash the dragon. Who said that? Was that you that said that, chicken? See, it's weird. It just says Facebook user. Unleash the dragon. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, with StreamYard, if you don't identify who you are, it just says Facebook user. So hello to you. So we're going to unpack something really, really cool. And I love the way it sounds to look at the title of it because it's called Never Fail Again. And we're going to look at the idea of income versus outcome. But just a few things. I just want to share. I like to share every now and then what I'm reading because I try to read a book a day. And I'm reading 2 books right now while I'm writing my book, which has been a lot of fun. One book that I'm reading, and I don't know how to say this guy's name, but Chicken says it. Oh, Stephen Done. What's up, Stephen? How do you pronounce this guy's name, Chicken?
Not Han.
Yeah, even after she says it, I can't. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh. But it's a Buddhist book, and it's called No Mud, No Lotus, which is just an awesome book. If anybody, it doesn't matter what religion you are. What this book teaches you is how to create a relationship with suffering and understand that you cannot grow a lotus, which smells beautiful, without mud. And it's interesting when you look at the lotus, they actually grow the lotus not only in mud, but they grow it in mud that smells really bad. Isn't that interesting? It's funny whenever we talk about Buddhism and we say something, the response is, That's the sound of enlightenment. And then the other book that I'm reading, and this one is by another weird name, Nir Eyal, and that is Indistractable. And I like to read books that help me with my response system. We talk about that a lot on this podcast. Just the idea of, and this leads perfectly into the Rise Up today about identifying the controllables versus the uncontrollables. And most of the things that we struggle with in life come outside in from the uncontrollables. And we spend so much time trying to control things that we have no control over. And that's a tough way to waste time. So that'll lead into that. And I like to read books that give me a different perspective and a different way of looking at things. One of the chapters in my book talks about this idea of holographic vision that I've pulled from all of these different resources. And that's just simply the idea of when something happens, when you observe something that's out of your control, right? An outside in thing, and you're just observing it and creating a perception of it before you label it and you allow your program to create a concept and a perception of it. Just stop for a second and take a walk around it and look at it from all angles. If somebody is saying something to you, perhaps you'll find in a curious, compassionate way that it has nothing to do with you. They're just trying to dump something that somebody dumped on them. And it's just a wonderful way of living. And I think you guys are going to enjoy that aspect of my book. So today I want to say that I have two sponsors today. I have two sponsors. So my first sponsor, and I'm wearing his shirt. This shirt was given to me. Today's episode is sponsored by Dornick Driven, which is my brother's amazing company. And I don't know what his tagline is, but if I could say it, I would say Dornick Driven. Dornick Driven, he uses the word moist, but I'd say Dornick Driven, make driving fun. Right? Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah. And then, of course, the second sponsor of this show is the fast growing and soon to be #1 podcast on iTunes in the realm of meditation and Buddhism. Went from 260 to 10, I believe.
Yeah, it fluctuates.
And that is my own chicken's Karma Minds, and it's just blowing up, and we have all of you to thank for that.
Mind.
Oh, I always screw it up. It doesn't have an S. It says Karma Mind, and Karma Mind, you'll find it on iTunes, and you'll see that beautiful butterfly, and we'll hit on that at the end of this Rise Up because it actually provides some amazing tools. So great morning world. I've got my chicken sitting in her Karma Mind podcast studio, which is the other side of this studio. And I always do better with chicken. That's why I would probably never be able to be a vegan, because I love chicken, right? So anyway, let's get into the Rise Up today, which I have called Never Fail Again, Income versus Outcome. So just follow me right now. This is the intro to this and the inspiration. It's funny. You know what I'm doing right now? I just reached down because I put my hand on my heart, which I usually do. And transparently, I just realized that there's dry food crumpled up on my shirt, probably from last night. Yeah, just real life,
We had fun during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, from the Super Bowl. All the people on the podcast, I just wanted to give you a visual that I'm right now like a little kid, just like scratching and trying to chip off this piece of dried something on my shirt, on my Dornick Driven shirt. So never fail again, income versus outcome. Follow me. So anybody who ever spent any amount of time in the mountains, right, or even thinking about it, knows one thing to be true. The mountain doesn't care about you. Think about that for a second. So let's just look at the idea of like, I'm going to go climb that mountain. The mountain doesn't care about you, and neither does the trail. It doesn't care about your future, your well-being, or the things that matter most to you, right? So why is that an interesting observation? Is because when you decide to climb that mountain, you don't know what is going to happen, right? You don't know how the mountain is going to treat you. And it's interesting to recognize that the mountain doesn't care about you, right? So you're going to actually now start to look and say, I'm going to tackle that mountain no matter what it gives me, right? So when you head into the mountains, your enjoyment and safety are not its consideration. And this is the analogy that'll lead us into this Rise Up. You may love the mountain, and you may love the idea of hiking, but the mountain and the trail do not love you. And this is an interesting way of looking at life, at the uncontrollables and the outside in things that happen. They don't care about you, right? Things, happenings. Happenings don't care about you in life. So we're going to talk about claiming control, and I've done another Rise Up called Be a Control Freak. We're gonna do another, or we're gonna talk about this idea of reclaiming control by identifying and recognizing things that are out of your control, and that's how you'll never fail again. So the mountain does its thing, whether that's perfect weather, right? The mountain could give you perfect weather or sudden storms. It's not taking you into consideration when it decides that. So it's up to you to stack the odds in your favor. And when I say stack the odds in your favor, that's the first time that I made reference to something that's in your control. You can stack odds in your favor, but you still have to recognize that outside in things could care less, right? And you always have the opportunity to lose and potentially suffer, which is why I read books like this. Because if I know that suffering is always a part of not suffering, right? If pain is a part of pleasure, well, I better create a nice relationship with suffering and pain, because they're going to be part of my life always, right? And I better learn how to acknowledge and respond to those things. So it's up to you to stack the odds in your favor, and that means controlling what is in your power to control. So I find it fascinating to evaluate how often this comes into play every day in our lives. So today's Rise Up, sponsored by Dornick Driven and Karma Mind.
Yes.
Look for the butterfly. So today's Rise Up is about identifying the difference between focusing on outcomes and incomes. Now, when I say the word income, it probably makes you think automatically about money when I say income, but that's not what I mean, and I'll go into it. So each day, we are after some sort of outcome. Let's face it, you're looking towards an outcome today. You're looking to grab an outcome, a win, and it could just be to have a good day, right? So we're all after some sort of outcome, while at the same time, there are things happening all day, whether we like it or not. So sometimes those things that happen serve the desired outcome, and other times those things are adverse to the desired outcome. So that's an important point to make, is as you go through your day today, going after your outcome, whatever it is, a physical, a mental, a financial well-being, some sort of surge in business, or going after your health, or looking to be at peace of mind or work on your relationship. There's a bunch of things that are going to happen today. Some of them will help you, which it's even though it's out of your control. Every now and then the universe will throw you a bone and help you along, but other things will actually not help you. And by the way, if anybody's listening right now, just as a reminder, everybody that's watching the live show, if you go into Clubhouse, I almost called it Outcome House. If you go into Clubhouse and you look for Makes Sense, I'm going to have that open if anybody has any live interaction questions they want at the end. See everybody coming in. Good to see everybody. Oh, I see somebody, Gina. We love Gina. Gina says Karma Mind is the best.
Oh, thank you, Gina.
That's right. So throughout our days, we experience feelings of joy and victory when things go our way, and we claim, hey, I had a good day today, right? And then we talk about whether or not does that mean that you were lucky? Did you control your good day? I mean, we think that we do. So we call those good days or lucky days. While on the other days, we may experience feelings of frustration. Think about this for a second. Feelings of frustration, anger, despair, concern, and doubt, right? So those negative feelings often carry the power to haunt our forward progress. I love that, haunt. Those negative feelings will only stop your forward progress if you let them, but they can haunt your forward progress. Love the way that came out this morning. And even force our hands to give up sometimes on the journey. What's interesting about that idea of giving up is we're seeing this a lot with children now. What we're seeing with children is that there's always a difference between competency and consistency. When I was a kid And it was probably even more so when my parents were kids. The saying was, if you don't succeed, try and try again. So what that means is consistency wins the race. But as we started to evolve, right, and we became more technologically advanced, it became a competency problem. So you're seeing children now, when they get frustrated or they don't win after a short stint, parents are now saying, hey, sweetie, maybe this is not right for you. Try something else. So that's a competency thing. But we know from any success story that competency has much less to do with success than consistency. So sometimes people, as a result of these feelings of frustration and anger and doubt and all that, will give up on the journey, and they may because the journey might have come up in their line of sight as them being unworthy of it, or maybe given the impossible impression and of self-doubt in their perceptions. If you create a perception that something you're trying to accomplish you're a failure at, you might blame yourself, you might shame yourself, and that all of a sudden makes you turn away when you miss the whole idea that no mud, no lotus. Right? That's why I brought that book in here today. So this possesses a sink or swim moment when we feel those feelings in many lives, and we often choose to sink, right? Sometimes sinking, even though it kind of sucks, sinking seems like a good idea. Sometimes it's a better idea to sink and justify the sinking. Whenever we sink, we have to justify the sinking. So we'll justify the sinking by saying something like, the task and the goal weren't right for us. So there's that competency thing that somebody programmed into our brain. It wasn't right for us. And we take our free will that God gave us, the universe gave us, to quit and try something else. That's the easiest thing. That's one thing I want to point out right now. And how do I know this? Because I did this most of my life. If you're going after something and never getting it, you're probably playing that game, right? You might have this verbiage in your mind that says, I'm not good enough, this is not right for me, and maybe I should try something else. If you're going after success, you might notice a trail of trying to achieve it with many, many different ways, rather than picking one that's time tested and proven and going after it until you get it, right? Going to get it. So we read about things like failing forward, and that kind of screws things up for you if you're a quitter, right? We read things about failing forward and that the obstacle is the way. And by the way, I'm going to be speaking on an international call tonight in front of a lot of people, and I was just thinking about my journey and learning this concept of the obstacle is the way, and I realized that I was the obstacle, right? So it's interesting when you identify that the obstacle is the way and you look in the mirror and say, I'm the obstacle because I keep doing this stupid stuff. I keep abandoning and aborting my forward motion and my momentum. If you're the obstacle and the obstacle's the way, then you have to do some personal growth. You have to look inward rather than continue to look outward. So, but when we read about those things, that screws everything up. And sometimes when we read those things, we'll conjure up the strength and discipline, because if I learn the obstacle's the way, then, and I know that I'm facing an obstacle, that I have to conjure up the strength and the discipline. So that's why I created the 15 days of discipline. If you go into my podcast archives, you can go through that any day. The new one in the book is going to be much, much more advanced, but it still works. In 15 days, you can build the discipline to keep going forward, which is where the win happens. And that's the number one thing that most people need to do. So this game seems familiar, doesn't it? So let's unpack this a bit further and develop a better understanding and relationship with some of the mechanisms at work. Chicken, I just realized why I wear glasses.
Why?
I'm going to be totally transparent now. So part of it is I want to look cool, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit silly and, let my crazy out. And that's kind of my brand thing. But that's not why I wear them. You know why I wear them? Because while I'm looking at the live screen, I can look at my notes and they can't see that my eyes are looking down.
Smart. Why did you tell them?
Just because I like to lay it all on the line here.
Okay.
So in any case, let's unpack this a little bit further and develop a better understanding and relationship with some of the mechanisms at work. So there's two parts of our days going on while we're out there trying to go get it, and go after our dreams. So there's the desired outcome, and then there's the host of things needed to be done. So think about what it is that you want today, what you're going after, but think about all the things that need to be done to acquire and leverage that desired outcome. Because this idea of controlling the controllables and not trying to control uncontrollables, the game is won not in the outcome. You got to know what you want and why, and create a compelling, value for it, so you'll fight for it. But it's in the fight where these identifications and distinctions happen, right? We have to look at the action steps that we know give us the outcome. Like if you're in sales, I would assume one of your action steps is that you have to pitch a certain amount of people until you find the one that wants to do business with you. So you have this outcome of getting a client or something like that, but the way that you're going to get the client is by talking to all these people. So you have to be able to make these distinctions along the way. So that's one of the first parts. You have that outcome, but then all of those things that you need to acquire and leverage that outcome. So when you look at those things, they can be further broken down in the outcome, meaning what you hope happens on the other side. So the income. So first of all, when I say outcome, I'm telling you about what you're hoping happens on the other side of all these action steps. Because while you're in that phase of taking all these action steps, if you're focused on the outcome and the outcome doesn't happen, then you think that those action steps are not worth your time. So we're going to look at it in a different way. We want to look at the income, right? The income, not the money. The income means the things that you do to acquire the outcome. So today, as you go after your dreams, are you focused on the things that you need to do to leverage that, or are you focused on getting that by doing those things? That's where we screw up, right? Because we know that failing forward, it takes time and patience and all that stuff. So we quit on the action steps when we think that they're not facilitating the outcome. And there's always this fear of wasting time, because we also don't know how much time we have. So it's interesting, the Kazette Delilah is looking at my dry erase board at our goals and dreams, which means maybe she's dreaming with us. That's fine. It's not stressing me out. It's cute. Whenever the cats do something crazy, Chicken jumps into action, like, let me handle this. So that's the income, is the things that we need to do to acquire the outcome. So in observation, which do you possess control over? So when you look at the income and the outcome, which one are you in control over? Do you control the outcome of what the consumer, for instance, in that sales idea, what the consumer will say when you pitch them or share with them or whatever it is that you do? Do you control the outcome of the nice day that you need to open up a fruit stand at the farmer's market? Do you control the odds that if you share your service with 5 people, let's say you've set a goal to share your service with 5 people, do you control the outcome that one of those people will be interested? Well, maybe a little bit, as you can create things like leverage and push the odds in your favor by talking to enough people, but you can't control it, right? You can only control the income, not the outcome. So just an analogy is, try your hands, at blackjack or roulette sometimes, and see how your skills and luck help you with the outcome, So if you're a really good gambler, you might get better odds, but it doesn't mean you're controlling the outcome, because even the greatest of gamblers fail miserably and lose their shirt. But when you look at the income side of things, see, this is cool. This is where we start reclaiming control. When you look at the income side of things, you see where you are in full control. What we're about to do now is we're about to take our hands and put it on the controls. So you are in full control of what you think, say, or do. I always talk about this idea of setting my day up and going 3 for 3, where I take my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions, and I go all in with them. I'm 3 for 3, right? You can't skip one of those. But what I also love about being 3 for 3 is I'm in full control of 3 for 3. So if I set my goal to go 3 for 3 this whole day today, guess what? 100% success. 100% success. All I have to do is do it, and it's in my full control. So all the things all the things that need to be done to increase the odds of the win are within full of your control. In fact, if your daily goals are set based on the income side of the equation and are free from the expectations of the outcome, you can win pretty much every day. So look what we just did. We just unveiled this idea of how you never fail again. You set your goals based on the 100% controllable things in your life. So think about what it is that you need to accomplish today, what you're hoping to get out of this day, and then back it up and look at the income, not the outcome. And look at all the things, and you should be learning those action steps and those things that you want to practice discipline and consistency from people that already have the outcome that you desire, right? If you're going after an outcome in a way that is not the same as somebody that already has it, well, then you're trying to teach a goldfish to climb a tree or building an airplane in the sky, right? So always make sure that you're mimicking, plagiarizing, and stealing from those that already have it. This is why in the finance world you have consultants, right? Don't ever take consultation from someone that doesn't have what you want, right? If you want to make $1 million, make sure the guy teaching you about that has $1 million. So if you seek new clients in your business, here's an example. If you seek new clients in your business and know that this requires meeting new people so that they may find out about your service, where does your control sit? If that's your goal, is it hoping for a good day, right? Remember the mountain. So acquiring the clients or meeting and sharing your service with the people, is that what it is? Now, the irony of success, this is the funny thing, and this is where we get a little bit screwed up. So the irony of success is how it comes to those that persevere. So it's about perseverance and resilience. This is why I always talk about creating a different observation, holographic vision, no mud, no lotus, taking a walk around things and understanding fully where we're in control, and also the concept of suffering and failing, how it plays a role in this. So the irony of success is that it comes to people that have that response system, that perseverance, that idea of committing and never quitting and pushing forward no matter what, being patient, right? Patience is a big thing in this. If you're not getting the outcome, even though you're doing all the things that somebody else said, I did this and I won, you still have to be patient, because it's who you are that determines how well what you do works. If you see somebody else getting better results than you, you're not doing anything wrong. You just need to improve you, right? And don't try to be like somebody else. This is why it's dangerous when you create scripts, and things like that, because you're trying to say something the way somebody else that you might not get the same results. You got to be you. So that idea of committing to never quitting and pushing forward, being patient, and to those that share their service with most people, right? That's what we have to do. We have to be that person. If you want to find success, peel it back and look at the person that's sharing what it is that they do for others the most, right? And what you'll also see is that we need to fail a little bit more. If you're frustrated with the lack of your success, first of all, that feeling of frustration is because you're trying to control something out of your control, but you just haven't failed enough. So there's a little tip for everybody today. Go out and set a goal to fail more today. It's so ironic how the people that fail the most, and I'm one of them, end up having all the success. So why would it be any different to you? God has mysteriously placed everything that you desire on the other side of a pile of poop, right? So why do you think that you have like a poop-free path? No, you got to go through the poop, over the poop. Now, every now and then we get by without having to experience the poop, and then we that's what we seek. One of the things that I read in this book, and Chicken will love this, is that one of our biggest struggles in life is when we realize that it just simply doesn't exist to have a land where happiness, joy, and success lives without the opposite. There is no lotus without the mud. So you better get used to the mud. You better get used to the pile of poop standing in between you and success. So that's why we have to commit to never-ending effort and going after it. So, or in other words, do the most income-related controllable activities, do those things, do the most income-related controllable activities until they uncover those things that, I call that panning for gold. Sometimes if you speak to someone that pans for gold, they'll be out there panning and panning and panning and panning for months. But then all of a sudden they'll find this little piece of gold that'll change their whole life. But if they stopped panning for gold or swinging the pickaxe or that image looking for diamonds, if they stopped the day before because they said a month, are you kidding me? They missed the win. And now just stop and look at anybody that has ultra success, and you show me one of them that just had it come to them without panning for gold, without going through the mud where the lotus grows. So in other words, do the most income-related controllable activities until they uncover those that are looking in sales, looking in need and ready for your services. You might meet the people today that you need for the outcome you desire, but what if they're not ready? So what's the plan there? Do you go back and have somebody, do you watch a podcast or read a book or hire a coach to teach you how to get people ready? Well, now you have a new problem. Now you're talking people into doing things that they're not ready for, and then you'll be upset with the outcome of that, right? So this is powerful stuff. So the name of the game here is to know your desired outcome. You got to know your desired outcome, because you will not fight and repetitively do the income related stuff unless you have an outcome that's important enough to assimilate air, right? I always take my goals and I connect them with the things that I would die for, and that's my family. So I will never quit on my family. So I'll never quit on things that I've decided to go get that are for my family, like food, right? If I can't find food and my family's hungry, I'm going to keep going after food. And then I might end up doing something crazy to get the food, but I'm going to get that food. So the name of the game is to know your desired outcome, but release from its expectations. That's what you have to do, is release from the expectations, the outcome, and go all in with the income side. And that has shown in other situations. That's really important. If the things that you're doing have not been proven to work, well, you need to learn how to say, this is what I want, and learn. That's where mentorship and guidance and coaching comes in. That's what we do for people, is we show them what the income is to get the outcome, which is most of the time income. And that's really important. And once you learn how to do this, you're going to experience the joy of, as I said, never failing again. So that's my Rise Up today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you pulled something from it. I'm going to chat with a couple of friends here in the clubhouse. You can find that at Make Sense if you want to jump in there and say hi and interact with me. And that's Clubhouse at Makes Sense. Love and appreciate you. Hope that you take this information and uncork the celebration of enjoying this day free from the expectations of the outcome, and just set a goal for yourself today that is 100% achievable, and that is to control the controllables, not the uncontrollables. So love and appreciate you. We'll do our little outro, and I love you and have a wonderful day.
Great morning, world. Welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast.